Hey folks, time once again to do a retro CSS battle. These are daily targets from the past. If you've got a CSSBattle.dev account and a Plus account, you can look at these older challenges. This is March 16th here with these checks. March 17th with this weird racetrack and some sort of a what is that guy? I'm removing the code that was there pre-existing from the 18th, and these are all March 2024. Let's get right to it. Let's build some stuff. Let's get it done. So I'm gonna start out in the normal way. Do this with a single element. Put the margins on the element, and then set one of these colors to the background color. Then what I want to do is use, and I guess I'll use a darker one so I can see the contrast a little bit better. That'll be good. All right, 40, 50. So these are margins to create the overall shape that it has different colors on it. That's one of my main techniques. Looks like margin of 50, 92 does it. And we're half as tall as we need to be. So if we make it 200, that's our shape. So the question is, what code can we write to start carving this shape out? I think conic gradients are sort of implicitly the interesting part here. That's certainly the tendency that I've got for how these go. So let's see what that looks like. So conic gradient, and if I do what transparent 25%, and then cover 50% with the same yellow of the background, and then transparent again 75%, and the overall yellow, and we can't see anything because we got nothing behind. But when I add that, you can see that yes, I have made a shape that does that roughly. So what is the least amount of code that we can write to narrow in on this shape? I am inclined to think that there's another conic gradient we can do with these squares that might be interesting. So what if there's a conic gradient and we're going to copy those same colors, copy the same pattern rather, and instead of those colors we're going to do black, and let's use one of the colors here and see if we can just sort of sneak up on it. So right now we got nothing, but if we put it in the upper corner and then have that background be a different size, we get checks. Now, is that good? Unfortunately, it looks like not. Like it looks like we get part of the way there and then we're disappointed. Now, if we do a repeat X, maybe we've got something there. So that would be this orange. Let's see. So instead of the black, we have two colors here. So let's do the light color and then the light color. Oh, so we need, which orange do we need? We got to make sure when we cut and paste, we get the right one. That's kind of the tricky part. Okay. There's two. And then one of these is the light color. Now we've got these little inset colors are also a tricky part. So how about the second value there? That gets us that. And then the lighter orange is going to be the fourth one. And that gets us a lot of the way. Now we've just got that little nib there. So can we do the same thing with the bottom? And I mean, there's a lot of repetition here. Our programming brains should say, well, is this good? Like, maybe this is not good. And maybe it's not. All right, so here's the second one, and we'll also do a repeat X. But in this case, the colors are the darker for these alternating ones, and then we'll do the same light color just so we get the right order, and then the final dark color here. So that's a lot of the way there. Is this good code? It's kind of questionable. It is pretty easy to read, and obviously it's easy to cut and paste. The problem is that these little squares, there's not really an obvious place for them to go. And I'm going to take off the background of the body and show you exactly what's the. So we have nothing showing through on the body, and then additionally, we've got this kind of radius in front. So this is what it actually looks like, which itself is, well, is there a way to do that and have that be a repeating kind of gradient? Unfortunately, no, because of the way this pattern is. It's just too irregular. Now, this has me thinking, well, this should be two shapes and one of them is rotated, and then you get some win there. But I think that, we'll stick with the approach that we've got here. So what's the final thing we need to do to create these shapes? I think it's also another kind of gradient. So we're going to call it this little square, and we'll do dash 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 is going to be a little square, and I think it's also going to be a conic gradient. Conic gradient, and I'm going to do, it's going to be, my technique is transparent 270 degrees around, or 75%. And then I'm going to do a very obvious black color here, 0, semicolon. And then if I add this in, dash dash S, or do var dash dash S rather, then you'll see where that ends up. And that's not what we want. What we want is for it to have a particular size, right? And so we need it to have a size, or we need it to have an at. So let's do an at that's 20 pixels, 20 pixels. I think that's the size. Oh, that's a little too small. 3, 3. And then if we move that around and move it down and move it a little more over, is that the shape? Looks like it is. There it is. So we've got all those things. So if we do another one here, var dash dash S, that's going to be over less, so 50 pixels, but it's going to be down. Is it 110 pixels? There it is. A little more over, 60 over, and then a little more down, 5, 6. That's our shapes. It's a lot of code, but it is all gradients, and in this case, all conic gradients. Again, this it gets at why the conic gradient is my favorite of the gradients, because it is like a Swiss Army knife for complicated pixely shapes. And we'll stick with that. That's a good solution. It definitely solved the problem. It got us 100% match with the CSS Battle servers, and so we'll take it. Is it the best way to do this? No. Is it the only way to do this? Not at all. There are so many ways to do it. This is one of the principles of pair. There is more than one way to do things, and that's certainly the key. A thing to remember with regards to CSS. All right, next. This is an interesting one. I don't know if there's an efficient way to do this one. I like this shape though. I think it's multiple shapes. Whenever I see a pill type affair, I tend to think, well, that's a radius, and like that's a rounded rectangle. So maybe that's the thing that I want. So the question becomes, what's the most efficient way to do this? Maybe it's all objects, maybe it's all elements. So if we do one element for each color, can we get it done? So let's put this background on the body, and then we can lay additional ones over top. And then I guess if we did it as borders, border solid 20 pixels color, and then if we turn that into a variable, so we have, let's say we have a P and a B, PB. So the B one has a different border color, and we'll do --C for that border color, and we'll say, well, we're going to put that color in there, var --C, comma, and like that. Let's remove the background, and then use margins to put these things in place. Var --M 20, and then if we use negative margin minus 50, we can get those to overlay. And that's a technique that's pretty easy to reason about. So I'm going to turn off the border radius for now, because I think that needs to be a variable as well. And let's start adjusting. I think the border is not quite big enough. Let's do 25, and then use our margins to push this into place. 5, 6, 7, 8, 75, 50, 40, 42. I'm really just trying to align these guys here. So that's the first one. Let's do the border radius as well. We'll do that as var --R, or and let's do Q units just to be cute. 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's pretty good. Let's do the next one. So minus 100, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, minus 200. And then these margins, we move them in. 5, 6, 7. Okay. Okay, and then this height, I guess, is wrong, right? Var --H. So this is the opposite of the first one. This is no gradients at all border, which is another way to go. 20, 30, 40. All right. 65. There, now that's lined up. Nearly. There it is. So what's this last guy? He's a weirdo. We've still got this to deal with. Now, so let's make another element. What do we need to do to torture this into shape so that it works? Now, I'm going to set a background of black, right? And right now, we don't have anything with the C attribute, so we don't see it. There it is. So if we set the margins right, we can make that be in place. And I think what I want to do is make sure that the color there is transparent so we don't get that border. And I think that's, so if I do red, you see that border. But if I do an invalid value, then it short circuits it. And that's good. So let's set that background to be this color. And what do we need to do to make this cover the entirety of that? Make the height different. '67, 100. And then we have the wrong color, I think. It should be this lighter color. Yeah, okay, there it is. All right. So let's continue using margins. These are going to be side margins for 42. And then let's make the height some other number. --H is 150, 60, 70, 80. 300. Okay. So now we have an element that's covering that. All right. I'm just going to change the order of these. I'm going to have the color be last because that's what subverts the background. And then what we've got left looks like a linear gradient. Right? So let's execute on that. Linear gradient, which is that color, transparent, and it's some value. What is it? 60 pixels tall. 0. And I'm just making up numbers here, guessing what this might be. It's got 100% height, so let's make it 1Q and 100 pixels tall. So that's how you get some stripes. So if we put it downward, we can adjust the start of that. I know this seems like magic, but it's totally explicable. I guess that's what, 70 pixels tall? 70, 75? And that's almost there. If we make the background a little taller, 2. Oh, so close. 125. There it is. So kind of goofy code, and if I do that, then the background, the border comes back. But all I need to do is subvert. Oh no, that's not true. If I just put a 0 there, then I short circuit this border specification with the var. But that's good. Let's submit it and see if we got a 100% match. All right, I'm curious to see. I think we do. And then we'll minify and be done. Yeah, we got 100% match there. Kill off the trailing. Semicolons, unit replace and minify. Do a little bit more cleanup. And resubmit, and we're done with this guy too. It's a fun one. Definitely a fun one. And this is a higher score than I've gotten in the past, so that's cool. And then lastly, what is this shape? This one has me thinking about some interesting ways to do this. Let's just see. Let's see what we can do here. I feel like the paragraph trick is an interesting one. Using paragraphs and then using margins to push ones up. So can we make this shape with only borders? I think we've talked about this a little bit before. If I've got no height and I set a border, so let's put a background on the body, and let's put the margins on the paragraph tag, and then let's do a border, and we'll set it to solid, and let's set border colors. And I'm going to do all ridiculous colors. We'll do yellow, orange, white, black. Okay, and then we're going to do colors to try to approximate that angle. I think it's going to make us do some weird things with margins, but let's see what we can do. Let's do border width, and we'll do 0, 100. Border width 0, border width 0, 100, 100. Oh, 0, 50, probably more like that. And then 60, 70. You're kind of getting it. You're seeing a little bit of my intent here. So let's move the margins so this goes down. 4, 5, 6, 7. Great. Let's set these margins as well, 70, and then increase this bottom border width, 100, and let's do 10. Okay. You see we're getting some interesting shapes there. Super duper interesting shapes. 5, 6, 7, 8. 100, 120, 30, 40, 50, 60. And then can we get the angle right? If I set a width, can I do that? 2, 3, 4. It's not happening. So the question is, what do we need to do to get that to work? 8. So there's the angle. 7, 6. And then if we give it a width or different margins, can we get it over there? Okay, so let's use some real colors here. So we've got orange is, I guess white is the color we need to replace. And then these colors are transparent. So yellow we're not even seeing. So we can just put a 0 there. I know that seems weird, but that works. And can we put transparent here? We cannot, but we can do a 0. No, we can't do a 0. So we use the full, this red background color. All right, did we get the shape? No, I don't think so. 2, and then 69, 72, and then 1, 2. So did we get it? I think we did. So what do we need to do to the background then? Or what's our next shape that we need to make? I think the way to do it is another element, and that's the B element. I'm going to do a background red, and you don't see anything. You notice we have a background in pink, but we don't have it because we have no height and we have only a width. So no height means you're not going to see that background. And this one, we got to turn off the border. Border none. Oh, and then we also need to actually set the thing. We have a background. Let's do yellow so we can see it. And our margins need to be -110. And we need to give it a height. There it is. So we've got a lot of wonky code here. Notice that we have this width is affecting us. Oh, and we don't need that width. We don't need it on the top element. It helped us find the edges of this, but it was not necessary for our purposes. So let's play with that. That's a little more margin. 1, 2, 3. And then more margin on the sides. We'll push that up. And then more height. We would like to cover the entirety of this blockout section, and then we can do a background that will cover it up. All right, so the height, we need more margin. 4, 5. And then the height is 80. This margin might be 182. All right, so this background, we'll make it this color. And now we just have those things to deal with. So let's use our conic gradient. I believe that's an 80 pixel by 80 pixel gradient. It's at it needs to be at the top left corner, so it's this red 75%, and then transparent will do because we show through, and that's the shape. Let's submit and see if that worked. I mean, we've made the shape, 2 elements, one with some border hackery to get this weird shape. And what happens if you put text in there? So I'm going to put a color on here, color white. And if I add text there, can I see anything? So we just gave it a height, and we pushed it down too. Text there shows up on the body. In that way, it's sort of like, now it sort of looks like a South American temple of some kind, and we've got text on the top of it. Or an odd way to think about it, but that's sort of what that border is doing. We got a big base to put text on. But if we remove it, it collapses and there's no height because there's no content in there. All right, so we got 100%. We're all done. Thanks for watching. Let's resubmit and minify. Minify, a little cleanup. Unit replace and submit, and we're all done. Appreciate you watching. This was a fun one to do for sure. Have a great day. Make something on the web. Make something in HTML and CSS. It's awfully fun. Great stuff. All right, take care. Bye.